Welcome to the brand new Bearded Butchers headquarters. Very first broadcast here from the studio that we have set up right inside of our headquarters. Pretty excited, feeling very grateful. What do you think, Seth?
Definitely excited. We want to come and just tell you guys what we've been up to. We've been a little bit silent with producing videos for YouTube, and there's a good reason why, and it's because of the building we're sitting in right now. But like Scott mentioned, very first #1 podcast episode out of our new media room here at HQ. And boy, when it comes to podcasts, we've been in some pretty bad situations, haven't we?
Yeah, so just to tell a little bit of the story on that, we were meeting our, I guess, like podcast needs were in a trailer that was set up in the parking lot of the current location that we're at now. This trailer was just like an office trailer. We rented like a construction office trailer. And it was 8 by 20, something like that.
Not very big.
Yeah,
not big enough.
Very small. And we brought some podcasts out of that, but then like eventually the building that was left standing where that trailer or excuse me, the building that we tore down to build this, actually part of it blew down and it like almost fell onto the trailer. So that caused us to move the trailer. And then once that kind of started, it was like, well, we might as well just get the trailer out of here. And because then we had like the construction starting and all that. So it went from, we were basically just displaced. We had nowhere to go. All this equipment was just stuck in a box.
Yeah, so our goal is with our new media room here at HQ, we want to have more guests. We want to talk about more subjects. We want to go dive deep into our business, the structure of our business, maybe some of the behind the scenes, kind of where we've built it to, and just some exciting stuff moving forward.
Well, but tell me a little bit about the wall that's behind us here.
So this is pretty cool. What we wanted to do was duplicate the wall that maybe you've seen in some of our previous content of what we called our timber shed. And we did a lot of filming in front of that wall. And it was the original structure on the property where our meat plant is located, which just happens to be right across the street from where we are now. There's an old building there, and there was this wall that we set up shop in front of. And a lot of these tools were hanging on that wall. We've since then removed some of them, not all of them, because we're still going to use that space to do some filming in, and we moved them over here to our new location at HQ. But what's really cool is this wood that you see behind us. This is poplar that I believe or ash, one of the two, that Dad,
probably a mix of both,
that our father, he milled. So he has a sawmill. He milled this wood. The fellows with Campbell Construction that built our building, they installed it here on this wall. And then Scott and I and some of the rest of our team, we spent the last couple days gathering up all these artifacts that you see that have been collected on our farm and around the meat shop for the last, who knows, 50, 60, 70, 80 plus years. And, you know, everything from butchering utensils to saws to knives to, we even have Dad's old scabbard over here. So Dad actually used this scabbard on the slaughter floor, and here's one of his knives. So we wanted to honor Dad by bringing in his. He obviously doesn't work the slaughter floor anymore, so thought that was pretty cool. Just a lot of good memories, and obviously bringing in the butchering theme along this wall. A lot of old knives stuck in the wood, kind of like what you would find in an old barn. And then over here behind Scott, we actually have our 4 of our original shakers from our seasoning and our barbecue sauce. You can see them right there behind him in that 4-pack. So just a lot of history. You know, we're all about family, faith, family food. We love bringing in the history of the butchering. So that's what you see behind us.
I want to tell a couple stories about some of the items that are hanging here. So Seth mentioned the scabbard. my dad, we were working on the slaughter floor, and
I'll never forget
I don't
that
remember
day.
what I did to upset him, but he chased me, and he wanted to kick me in the butt, and he's left-handed, so he hikes back his leg and he gives me a swift kick right in the rear. And because of the scabbard hanging on him with the sharpening steel, the sharpening steel was on a short piece of chain, and it swung up and it hit him right in the left eyebrow. Wham! And put a big knot welt right on his eyebrow.
You have to remember that Dad is a Vietnam vet, and he was a drill sergeant during the war at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So having to boot up our ASS was just something that was pretty much the norm growing up, wasn't it?
And then, that cleaver right there, we used to slaughter ostrich, and they, the owners, whoever was custom slaughter, they wanted the big toenail. And we have this wooden block. I can probably find that unless it got pitched. And I used to have to take the leg of the ostrich after it was, removed, and lay it out and chop the toenail off with that thing.
We have some wild stories that we get to tell right here inside this room.
This is the captive bolt, the original one that I used to knock cattle. I started when I was about 16, knocking cattle. And so 26 years, going to be 26 years ago.
Yeah, 'cause we just recently had our 30th anniversary of the butcher shop when our parents bought the shop. So pretty exciting.
So this, you put a black powder charge in here, and then you cock it back, and you either hit them right, like X between the eyes and the ears, or on the back of the head. So
little No Country for Old Men action.
Yeah, it drops out, a bolt comes out of here, and they actually phased this model out. They wouldn't sell caps for it anymore, so have a new one. Same principle. But I wanted to find, can you go, when we did one of our cooking videos,
you want to find the wall?
Yeah, that shows that wall.
Just scroll down.
Can you
through
think
there.
of one that
pretty much any of the cooking ones? The brisket, the pellet grill versus the charcoal grill brisket that we did. That was way back. That would have been done in there. There's quite a few of them done in there.
Okay, here we go. I found that one. Spencer, can you pull that up? I got to get through the ad here, but we'll take a look at this and show you the wall that we replicated.
Right, it's in the thumbnail right there.
Oh, there we are.
Man,
we're gonna do a cook. We're getting ready to head to the grill.
I was a few pounds heavier in those days, Scott.
You are looking quite trim compared to that. Okay,
Thanks.
so there's the wall here. I think we left most of the stuff.
Oh, right there's one of the tools right there. Right here. This one, you can see it on the wall right there.
Was what we called the timber shed, hand-hewn timbers that we think were just repurposed, and probably the oldest building on the farm, and we used it for a lot of cooking, and we didn't want to just sort of leave it behind, so we decided to replicate it. And so yeah, a lot of these were butchering tools, some farming implements that had just been around for decades. Really no idea of knowing how old they were.
Yeah, so you can definitely see what we did there with the wall behind us.
How old is this video? This is,
I'm guessing 3 or 4
3 years ago?
3 years.
Just one of the many videos that we featured that wall.
Real quick, since you were on YouTube, can you pop back there? Wanted to thank everybody. We recently hit 3 million subscribers on YouTube and over 1 billion views, which is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, absolutely crazy. And you would think that, we're officially YouTubers, I guess, at this point in our lives. But you have to remember that we're still full-time butchers as well. We're also running, we're running a media business. We're running a butcher shop. We're running a spice business. So we wear a lot of hats. So we don't always produce content as much as we should. So a brand with over 3 million subscribers on YouTube and over 1 billion views, people probably think we're crazy for not just turning that into doing it full time. But we do have a customer that we service in our retail store. So we have meat cases that we need to continue to fill. And we have a lot of things going on. So although, financially, it might make more sense just to drop all the hard work that we're doing and focus on, honestly, the easier part, which would be making videos. I mean, maybe not for Spencer because he's got to do all the editing, but for us, but we haven't done that, or we don't really plan on doing that because we're butchers by trade, and it's just what we do. We service the consumer, keep our meat cases full, and we keep chopping up meat. So
well, and it lends a lot to the authenticity. And,
sure does.
And like, that being our passion, the food part of it is something that we can still immerse ourselves in. And with industry, it's really fun for us to bring, or we're passionate about bringing customers portions of our business, which are, obviously if you're local to us, you can come into our butcher shop and we've got several hundred different cuts that are all produced in house. So it's a smorgasbord, whether it's beef, bison, pork, lamb, chicken, stuff that has Bearded Butcher Blend seasonings on it or in it, stuff that's plain, unique cuts. We've been cutting tomahawks and rib chops and everything with Father's Day, but this caveman steak, I'm telling you, one of the best things that we've produced, that is just a cross cut of the round.
Pull that video up once.
It's a short?
No, the caveman YouTube video that we did. So when we talk about caveman, you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about here. I'm sure there is a short. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we just said basically biggest steak ever, but it's literally just the hind quarter, the round, and we just cross cut it, and we get this massive steak.
The old 96er.
We call it the old 96er, but it's actually like twice as many ounces as that. It's somewhere, usually they're around 11 or 12 pounds, but it's just literally this cut right here. So that's going to break this round, take this tip portion off of here, and then once he gets the round, he takes off, sort of the one end, and then here you go. Zoom right through the saw. So this particular cut right here, it has the inside or top round. The most desirable portion is right here. And then it has the eye round, the bottom round, which would kind of be the least desirable. It's got the tip and a little portion of the tri-tip right here. Is that right?
Yep. Fantastic steak. You would
that's
think
one of the things it's been so delicious.
You would think that, grilling up a steak like that, especially from the round, it would be tough and chewy and miserable to eat. We just took one of these, actually 2 of them, with us to the Total Archery Challenge TAC out in Seven Springs, Pennsylvania, and we cooked it up with the guys from Montana Knife Company, Brio, Origin Crew, a bunch of those guys.
Do we have a short on that one?
We do, and it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Feeds a bunch of people. Man, if you get a hold of one of those, cook it. We prefer to cook it over an open fire, like the Brio, and slice it real thin. Maybe make a taco bar or something. Insane. It was incredible.
Yeah, there we are, Spencer. I don't know if it'll like this on not being on mobile, but
oh, there it is.
There's an idea. So anyway, we certainly didn't invent this steak. It's just kind of a bringing it back to light type scenario. It's fun. So like that gives us opportunity when we're in the shop to just spark new ideas. revisit stuff that we've been working on, that sort of thing.
What's interesting is when we cut a steak or something like this and it goes on the internet, how quickly we see other people duplicating the same thing. Like, for instance, our diagram series. We did our diagram series, and then all of a sudden you start seeing videos popping up on the internet of people doing literally the same thing. So they've got the black sheet laid out on the table with outlined with tape and the whole bit. But I'm just glad that we were the first to the game to do it. But anyways, it's a free country.
Talk about the oldest videos. So,
there's been a lot of videos, and thanks to you guys for sticking around while we haven't been uploading many videos. But yeah, it just simply boils down to being extremely busy. You also have to understand that while we're processing, it's difficult to, so to speak, shut down the floor and focus on making content instead of just pushing meat through the floor. You've got the noise, you've got the distractions, you've got the people. So it's just hard to juggle content and processing all at the same time.
Yep, and then obviously the administrative portion of the business, because there's no sort of overhead. It's Seth and I, along with Sean, of course, doing day-to-day operations, the vision for the company, all that stuff. There's no board. There's nobody above us. There's nobody pulling strings. We're operating basically on the experience that we've gained, what our customer feedback is, the value, the products that we want to bring to the customer. And it's kind of like just our daily life expanded upon. So the foods that we like to eat, the spices that we've used in our shop, the lifestyle that we encourage, basically around, faith, family, food. That's what we do. And we tend to work quite a bit, a lot of work.
So the buck stops here. But I do want to thank our incredible team that we have that works for us. In the last 3 to 4 years, our team has grown tremendously. Spencer behind the camera, our niece doing all the assistant work. We have our media gals. We have customer service. We have our warehouse managers. We have just fulfillment. I mean, we would not be able to grow. There's no way.
Stopped a long time ago.
Wholesale manager, inventory managers, the guys over at the shop, just doing the day-to-day activities, like just everything that helps take things off of our plates. So our team is incredible. So yeah, couldn't do it without them and the consumer.
Yeah, cut to my screen, Spencer, because I wanted to show the oldest videos. So a plant tour at White Feather Meats. I did a walkthrough 7 years ago and just showed kind of the daily life. Looks like Seth wore a GoPro here.
I put a GoPro on my head and I was like, I'm just going to season a pork butt and put it on YouTube.
We love the outdoors. We love hunting. We have a hunting cabin, hunting property in the southern portion of the state. It's our favorite thing. One of our favorite things to do is go down there with our family, spend a weekend down there. It's not always about the hunting. It's just about the atmosphere.
So the deer, go back once, the deer processing video right there. If you could narrow it back to one particular moment. So like a musician who writes a song.
It's our first hit.
That was our first hit right there. So if you had to go back and pinpoint it to one specific spot, it's that video upload right there that kicked everything off.
Yeah, that was the catalyst. And that video was a Facebook Live video that we did as a result of having this deer in the cooler that we were going to put on an actual live cutting demonstration at a sporting goods store, which they last minute decided they didn't want to do that, weren't sure how it would work, blah, 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 blah. So we just decided to do a Facebook Live video. It's filmed vertically, so it's got black lines on the side of it, and I think 2 people watched it live. Somebody burst in the background during the thing. It was one take, which then kind of became our signature style. So we did this video, put it on it was live, so uploaded to Facebook, and then it went to a couple 100,000 views, and from October to like November. It was like right during deer season,
like 400,000 or 500,000 views.
And then as a result, Seth's like, I think I'm going to put it over on that YouTube channel that we already had, which you see the videos that were already on there. But they were they weren't really doing anything. Well, once he put it on that video on YouTube, it did the same thing. It went to a couple 100,000 views, and then that kind of started the ball rolling. And those were all cell phone. I think that was an Android, that first one. And then we started to get a little bit more professional, but it wasn't until Spencer came along that things really took off. And I think his first video was, oh, there it is right there, 5 years ago.
So go up there to videos.
Which one?
Up to the top to the bar, and then go to popular.
Yeah, so that.
Yeah, so you can see right there which ones really kicked off for us. So I would like to mention I monitor a lot on social media. So if you're in some of the do-it-yourself meat processing pages, or some of those, sometimes I interact with people in and throughout some of those pages and the comments and things like that, adding links and stuff. But I see a lot of comments, and a lot of them are, hey, you guys should do a video on such and such subject. However, we already have. So I would recommend to our audience, if there's something that you want to see, maybe go back and check our previous uploads, because there's a real good chance the video already lives on our channel. And if you want to pull that up, Scott, just kind of scroll through there real quick, you can see and just look at these titles.
Yeah, so these are now filtered by most popular. How to butcher a cow, 14 million views, and then we go down deer skinning, butchering a pig, grass-fed versus grain-fed versus grass-fed. We wound up redoing like this video on the butchering a deer because of the vertical format, the poor audio. We wound up redoing it. It's nearly identical, or it is identical. It's just came along later, so it has fewer views. That one's in here, but it's in a it's right here. It's in a much crisper format. There are numerous how-to videos, and these things are kind of cyclic. Sometimes you'll see them pop up in your suggested feed based on the time of year. However, we do experience a fair amount of suppression from the media that doesn't like butchering meat, knives, beards.
Mainly, we've seen it on YouTube and our Bearded Butcher Instagram and Facebook. So Meta, but what's interesting is my personal pages. I've spent a lot of time working on those over the last year or so, and those continue to blow up. So I don't have all the answers to that, but whether they're suppressing more of the business pages and not the personal pages. But I can upload a video on my personal Instagram and Facebook, and it'll get 10 million views. Take and upload the exact same video onto our Bearded Butcher platforms, and it might only get 50 or 60,000. So I don't have the answers for all of that.
I don't either, other than, we've kind of done this for, just with no intent of views. It was a natural process for us from the get-go because we were already in the process. In fact, we're going to, not on today's episode, but in the near future, we're going to go over some of the historical content that we have. And when I say historical, I'm talking 20-plus year content that we have. We actually dug up some video of the early days at the butcher shop.
It's actually dad running the camera.
Yeah, our dad kind of had some of this stuff going on just with regard to the bison business. So we're going to dig those up and go through them. There's a video in there where I think we had somebody request like a walkthrough of breaking down an animal, and that video is like about 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna do a play-by-play, bring those up. Anyway, the point I'm making is we never really did it just for the views or for to be YouTube personalities, stars, that sort of thing. It was just our natural habitat. We were kind of had an affinity for talking. Wink, wink.
Can you believe that? We said this episode was going to be 10 to 15 minutes long. Let's see where we end up.
We're pushing the
We're 26 minutes.
mark.
We're 26 minutes in. Hey, something we should talk about, because we've talked about why haven't been uploading much on YouTube, just because we've been so darn busy. But we should talk a little bit about this build, HQ, what its use is, and the fact that we're in here shipping orders out every day to your mailboxes.
Yeah,
and all the retail stores that we're in now. Just some exciting stuff about HQ and
there's a lot of stuff.
Explain to people what's happening just before we end this episode.
Yeah, a lot of water's running under the bridge in the last I would say like 6 months to a year. We knew we wanted to put a structure here and it kind of started with an existing structure that we wanted to retrofit, and that became a square peg round hole scenario where it just wasn't formatted how we wanted. We're going to try to kind of reformat it, force it. Roof blew off. Second roof blew off, because it had a roof over an existing roof. And so it was in January of 23 that we just flattened the building because we had already worked on some plans for the existing structure. And it was then when we just wiped the slate that it just really started to come into focus. That's when I called Joe Campbell from Campbell Construction, explained the scenario, explained that we had kind of started on a path, had some plans drawn, but that was all thrown into the fireplace. And from there, it just pretty much evolved, very smoothly, coming up with the right, our vision.
I wish
and
we
in
had.
fact, I have pictures.
I wish we had that picture. I was just going to mention Scott drew a picture of what he thought HQ, our headquarters, should look like,
and that was drawn in 2020.
In 2020, so 4 years ago, and it's almost identical to what we're sitting in today. So,
if I get that to you, Spencer, can you throw that in?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's going to have to be today because this video would be nice.
I got it. So we that materialized, and of course there's a process for these things. You've got all the material ordering and the permitting, and we had to go through some special permission type stuff with regard to the city limits that we're in. That all that fell into place.
And then the other thing too is just remaining family owned. Seeking, the right, getting the finances in place to take on a project like this.
Yeah.
There was I can guarantee you, there was a lot of sleepless nights between Scott and I know Sean too, because he's heavily involved, but a lot of doubt, a lot of faith, and just a lot of just taking big leaps.
I'll agree with that. I just heard a saying the other day
tough.
that if you don't feel like, or every 4 years, if you don't feel like you're about to go bankrupt, you're not growing. So you have that, we were well established with White Feather, but we had the fulfillment and warehousing set up, but we had to get it in the proximity that it's in now with White Feather, just too much travel, things like that. We needed that cohesion. So we were really thankful that we had the property, we cleaned off the old building, we could get started fresh and new, and it really, it seemed to go very smooth, like Seth mentioned, of course, with anything you have, things you didn't see coming, you have, expenses that get put in. We had some different code issues to work through with regard to fire, and we're still working through some of that because the building, although 99.5% completed, a couple of little loose ends to finish up. And we literally got occupancy on Monday, moved on Wednesday, started filling the place up.
This was last week.
Yep, and orders started flowing out the door on Thursday. Our warehouse manager actually had a scheduled mission trip, which he left on, and he's gone now. But we were able to kind of just keep everything moving.
I hope he's been praying for us that we keep this place in order while he's gone. I'm pretty sure he is.
But we're already finding that it's exactly how we dreamed it would be. Doors
incredible.
are in the right place.
So,
the space is here. The go between White Feather, everything.
1 week after our official move, we're bringing you a podcast.
Yeah, so we wanted
none
to
of
do
this
that.
existed.
Obviously, the introductory portion of this, kind of just getting our feet wet, so to speak.
Yes, and just real quick while I'm thinking of it, if you guys have a suggestion for a guest that you would like to see on our podcast, drop a comment in. Let us know who you would like to see. I know one.
Well, I can tell you who I would love to interview. I would love Mike Rowe. I would love to interview Mike Rowe. I think he has a lot of good things to say about people in the trade industry, which we are.
Tag Mike Rowe in the comments, or if somebody that has connections to him, let us know, because we'd love to talk about the industry and how it's such a dying trade, and we're teaching our boys how to carry it on to hopefully many more generations.
Yeah. So just settling in, obviously, like moving into a new home, you've got I think Steve Jobs talked about this. When you start a business, you have to, get a coffee maker, and you have to buy a printer, and you have to do all this stuff. Now, we didn't realize how sort of pieced together I think we were.
We were all over the place.
Until now that we have sort of a home that we can move into,
and not just our equipment, but people. So we had people in 2 different locations. Nobody felt like they were really part of a team. So now we have everybody together in one big happy home, and we can create a culture, an environment where people, nice place to work. And it's all to serve the customer.
I'll tell a story or a couple stories about one, when you had to take a phone call. And when I say take a phone call, I'm not just saying like pick up your phone and say hello. Like you had to be on a call, whether it was Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or just, you had to be on a call.
Did we ever go into the bathroom together just to have some
because it was like
quiet?
Well, different areas of our meat shop, but it's a commercial operation.
There's nowhere to go.
Open to the public. Yeah. Okay, so it's open 54 hours a week or whatever, and you've got people that come in the front door, and you've got windows and things you can see in the back, and like, oh, they're working and things like that. We're typically, the butchers are on the block. That's us. And we've kind of learned we just got to do a wave, and like we get asked for photos a lot and stuff,
which we love, by the way. Make sure you keep coming in, and if we can only give a wave because we're busy, we apologize, but we just sometimes our heads down and we're working, and we have to keep the floor moving. So
we try to accommodate, but we can't always step off the block. But anyway, it's like we run a business, and with that comes all the trappings that as you grow, get to bigger business, you've got to have. You've got to talk to some of your legal team. You've got to talk to potential new business outlets to come up with, whatever strategy that you're coming up with, that sort of thing. So it was always like, where are we going to take a call? Well, we kind of settled on the one back room that it was like our unloading area for the livestock, and then we had closed it in, but it was no air conditioning. It was adjacent to the barn, so you had some very strange odors at times. And it was frankly kind of awful, because in the corner was this
that's where we
120 PSI
that's where we put
gigantic blimp-sized air compressor.
We put Spencer there for about 2 years.
So you had no climate control. And by the way, it had a huge door in the end of it that we kept our forklift in there, so the door would just have to be opened so you can go unload. We had no loading dock, so we process about 40 to 60 pallets a month, and we had no loading dock. Everything had to be unloaded outdoors. Anyway, the climate was horrible. The smells were horrible. You couldn't hear. You literally, if you were on a FaceTime or a Zoom or whatever, or even on a phone call, and if you weren't there, you were on the floor. The floor's clanging and banging. If you weren't there, you went into like the box room area, but then you could be spotted from out front. So then it was like, oh, there they are. So the building that we're in now has some great quiet spaces, which is just like,
we just keep walking around. I'm like, Scott, can you believe this? Like, can you believe that we're actually sitting in this space? Like, even right now, I can hear a truck outside America wants to know what's happening with the corner of our building. So there's one portion of the corner of our building that doesn't have siding on it, and I promise.
It takes a while to
Jordan
get
just told
shipments
me-
of solid 99.9% pure gold
from Dubai.
Yeah, it takes a little while to
Yeah.
get those shipments in. So the security and the weight and all that stuff.
Jordan, the project manager, told me that it was supposed to arrive today, so I'm pretty sure that that's the truck I hear out there. So it is. What's the date today? June 14th. So probably next week. I don't know, whatever, maybe around the 16th through the 18th, 20th, somewhere in there. You should see siding on the corner of the building. So, America,
And Sean's
you've asked.
been looking at that now for 6 months.
At least.
Which is directly across from our brother Sean's
Not
house.
only has he been looking, but he tells us too.
Yeah. But anyway, huge improvements just in terms of our environment. And we went through this once with White Feather because it was sort of the same things, but in the butcher setting. And we were blessed to be able to do a great renovation upgrade in 2019. And here we are 5 years later. So thankful, so grateful. Of course, there's headaches. Of course, there's, drama. Of course, there's pain. That's all just sort of the growing process. And we're thankful that we are growing. We're very thankful to you, of course, the viewer, the consumer, our wonderful customer base. And so, yeah, this is just about kind of introducing the State of the Union, if you will, kind of where we're at.
This is our ribbon cutting ceremony.
There you go.
We should have brought some.
So
there is a video coming. So Spencer's actually going to produce a video on the whole facility.
Yes.
So that is coming. So
we
stay
have that
tuned
plan.
for
We have
that.
just some of the historical stuff,
Yep.
being that it's our 30 years, some reveal type stuff, some never before seen footage of the early days, and then of course many more things that are in the works. We kind of just left off about products and things like that. We're launching some of our bratwursts into regional distribution. Of course, we've been doing some online meat shipments. We have one going on right now. I think it's just about sold out. So a lot of stuff like that. New flavors,
New retail
there it is. Spencer
spaces.
threw it up on the screen right there.
Yeah, don't be surprised when you watch this video if they're already sold out. But there'll be more coming.
That's one opportunity that we've had now that we're just across the street is to take shipments meat produced at White Feather, put it online, ship it to your door.
One of our huge categories in the last year has been the DIY kits for the home processor. We're excited to say that those with this new building, we have a whole bunch of those going into one specific retailer. So stay tuned for those on your store shelves. Jared, our wholesale manager, continues to grow the wholesale side of our business into the retailers. I don't know how many we're in now, probably over between, I don't know,
20 million.
2 to 3,000 retailers. You can go to the website. You can check the store locator. You can see all the stores, the retail stores that we're currently in. But hopefully, the seasonings there, some of the sauces. Hopefully, you see sticks, you see brats, you see more and more Bearded Butcher branded spices and meat all across America and the world. So this brand right here, you can see it right there with our dad's face in the middle. Did you ever imagine that it would grow into what it has in the last 5 or 6 years? Because I sure didn't. If you had to sit down and write a business plan on this, I don't think you could.
No, there was never a business plan,
we stayed scrappy. We stayed lean.
There were certainly many opportunities to quit, and by quit, it didn't even necessarily have to be like quit altogether, but it could just been like quit producing content with regard to the brand itself, and just keep butchering, because that's like kind of basically be like staying behind the veil.
Working. Yeah.
There would have been opportunities like that, then of course there's, the fact that we trademarked early without really knowing what we were doing. I kind of just worked through that first process on my own with no legal help. And some of that stuff early on, I think we get some of that insight from our parents. They were sort of pioneers with regard to the bison business, which segued into what, that was the butcher business, which segued into this. So like, just kind of just like sticking with it, I think is the biggest thing.
Grit.
That,
By
so
the
like,
grace
no,
of, by the
not
grace of
necessarily
God.
seeing it in this light. If you look back 5 or 7 or 8, 10 years ago, but like also knowing that like kind of once it got going, like just sticking with it, and then just sensing that now, even now, like as long as we just, we say meat and spices all the time, like that's like our, our mission statement, right? Just like to keep it kind of centered around that. As long as we're doing that, I think, the thing's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and don't think that we stopped producing content for YouTube. I have a list of like 20 video ideas that usually come to me when I'm either sitting in a tree stand or going for my morning run. And we do plan on tackling those and just going down through the list. We know you guys love to watch butchering content. We know it. That's what everybody just absolutely loves to see is the butchering content. There's a lot of maybe some old content that we're going to redo. We have some ideas for some new content, so please just stick with us. We're at over 7 million followers across all of our media, including personal media, which is absolutely incredible. Would have never thought that it would ever grow to that size. So it's pretty
There
cool.
you have it. Yep. So thankful, grateful.
Yeah. Maybe next time we'll
Better
have
leave something for the next
guest.
one.
Yeah, we'll have
we're
a
gonna line up
guest
some
on.
guests.
If you have an idea, don't forget, drop it in the comments. We'd love to, and we can do like a FaceTime podcast too, where the guest doesn't necessarily have to be in studio. However, we are going to hopefully have that happen as well. So, yeah, all
Indeed.
pretty cool stuff. Summer's just getting ready to kick off. It's still spring, but summer's right around the corner. So hopefully you guys enjoy your barbecues, your camping, your hanging out with friends and family, and all around awesome
Well, and you know
food.
what happens before too long? Start thinking hunting season.
I never stop thinking about hunting season, bro.
I know.
He knows it because he has a hard time keeping me in the shop when hunting season's happening. So, all good stuff.
There you have it. Thanks for watching. First time in this studio of many, hopefully, God willing. We'll see you next time.
See ya.